security cameras are the new TikTok.
Maybe so. Defence Minister Richard Marles says the government's going to ditch more than 900 Chinese-made security cameras installed at government buildings across Australia.
Why?
Apparently, they're a potential security risk.
It's a bomb!
Here's an idea. Instead of throwing out all this perfectly good surveillance tech just because it probably broadcasts directly to Xi Jinping's bedroom in Beijing, why don't the feds gift it to Worksafe WA, who could maybe use it to keep an eye on sexual harassment at WA mine sites?
Yeah, maybe at FMG.
Exactly. Worksafe is hauling Fortescue into court for allegedly hindering investigations into sexual harassment on their remote mine sites. It comes after a landmark parliamentary inquiry last year that revealed in horrifying detail the extent of sexual abuse in WA's resource sector. And a bunch of mining company bigwigs agreed it was time to draw a line in the sand. Among them, Woodside executive Fiona Hick.
Who's now?
At FMG.
Yeah.
She starts this month, and I bet she's stoked about the move. She's going to have her hands full because Worksafe has hit FMG with 34 counts of refusing or failing to supply internal documents relating to 34 cases of alleged sexual harassment at 3 of their mining operations, Christmas Creek, Solomon and Cloudbreak. FMG initially said it was confused after finding out about the charges via a Worksafe media release, and it said it had been seeking to work constructively with Worksafe for many months. Worksafe asks for documents, they give you a deadline to supply said documents, and if you don't, there are consequences. It's not rocket surgery.
Look, I don't understand all this fancy medical lingo.
The case will go to court in March, and we'll find out just how constructive FMG has been, and why the company finds it all so confusing.
What's Twiggy said?
That's where this gets really interesting. About 24 hours after the story broke, the Fortescue chairman finally broke his silence, claiming his company hadn't supplied the relevant documents because they felt Worksafe was, and I quote, potentially asking us to break the law. Twiggy went on to say his company was very cautious when it comes to releasing the private and confidential records of employees without their consent.
So what does all that mean?
About 2/5 of all. It seems to me they're trying to reframe themselves as the good guys and Worksafe as big bad bullies.
Will it work?
I guess it depends on whether you believe a government entity dedicated to making Worksafe, it's literally in the name, can't be trusted on issues of privacy and legality, despite nearly every other business in WA already trusting them on that. It's about transparency, something FMG might need a lesson in, which doesn't seem to be an issue when it comes to burnishing their own corporate image through all of the socially responsible activities undertaken by his Minderoo Foundation. Take plastics, for example. Pretty shit for the environment, in case you haven't heard. Well, Minderoo published a 64-page report on the issue just this week, plus 2 more reports on plastic pollution last year, an 86-page report on Indigenous employment, a global index on the impact of the commercial fishing industry, a 144-page report on global slavery, and reports on early education, fire and flood resilience, and frontier technology, whatever that is. Now, I'm not shit-canning any of this because a lot of it is very worthy data that has been compiled by very accomplished researchers, and it probably cost Twiggy a bomb.
I spared no expense.
But all that effort and any goodwill is kind of ruined when Worksafe accuses you of obstructing investigations into sexual harassment on your mine sites. It'd be like if Greenpeace got into bed with BP, or Nike partnered with Asian sweatshops.
Please tell me you did not think sweatshops are where they make sweatpants.
That last one is not hypothetical.
What a shit show.
Yeah, and get ready to rumble, because Worksafe versus Twiggy is coming to the hexagon.
Isn't it an octagon?
Hexagon, octagon, dodecahedron, it's all the same to me. And I gotta be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of sports where this is allowed.
Clock is brought to you by Modelo.
I can see that in Northbridge every Friday night.
Yeah, well, it's incredibly popular.
And I get that. UFC 284 at the arena on Sunday is a sellout. And what's not to love about an Aussie achieving at the highest level? Alexander the Great is attempting to become just the 5th UFC fighter to ever hold 2 titles simultaneously. And all he has to do is beat the shit out of a Russian bloke.
I must break you.
No, not that one. This Russian.
You can do it, Ozzy! Fight his freaking head off!
These dudes are the 2 top-ranked pound-for-pound fighters in MMA, and their open training session at Elizabeth Quay showed what a marketing boon the event is for WA. Makhachev might disagree though, because he had a crack at the marketing of UFC 284 on Russian media recently, saying there wasn't enough promotion of his title fight. The Russian fighter's entourage tried to do something about it with a classic quokka selfie on Rotto this week, And it's fair to say they buggered that up.
Yeah, well, not the only Russian in the news for all the wrong reasons.
Yep. The inquiry into the downing of MH17 has concluded that Russian President Vladimir Putin probably had something to do with it. To which the global response has been, no shit, Sherlock. International investigators reckon Moscow-backed separatists asked the Kremlin for the Buk missile system that shot down the Malaysian Airlines flight. And there are recorded phone conversations where Russian officials say the decision to supply the system rested with the president. So while there's no suggestion Putin actually gave the order to shoot down MH17, the buck definitely stops with him. He's not the only one. I'm Ben O'Shea.
For more update, click the subscribe button below.